Bienvenidos and welcome a Cositas Mommy Never Told Me, a podcast that dives deep into the Latin cultural norms that have long haunted the feminine genre. Móntate and buckle up porque it's going to be a roller coaster ride. ¡Nos fuimos!
Hi, Diana.
Hey, girl.
Hey, girl.
What's going on? What's poppin'? What's poppin'? It's like 40 degrees outside. Motherfuckers is psyched up, wearing shit they ain't supposed to be wearing. Yo, go get your legs and your toes ready before you do that shit. That's all I got to say.
Facts. Because last week when we recorded, I didn't even have my nails on. And this week, they are Elsa Blue because my daughter's birthday is Saturday and the Elsa theme because why not pay Disney more money for
Wait, did you see
licensing?
what I posted yesterday? The little girl is like a baby. She's probably not even one yet. And her mom's like, let's sing Elsa. Let it go, whatever. And she was like, no, the baby.
I didn't see that.
She got her the fuck off. The baby was like, yeah, no.
No, she did. I have to see that. You know what's crazy? So Frozen has been out, I don't even know, probably 10 years, I think, because, is it been 10 years? Because I took JoJo to see Frozen on Broadway.
You have to, like, if it's been 10 years, my youngest is 17. So I can only go back to, like,
let me
maybe
see.
Beauty and the Beast.
I'm gonna look that up real quick.
And Power Rangers.
I say that to say, hold on, when did Frozen come out? When did Frozen come out?
But you know what's crazy? Like when I was at your house the other day and you guys
2013, 11 years.
11 years. Okay, yeah. So my kids were they weren't watching Frozen. But it was
I say that to say Sophie's obsessed with Elsa. Like it's this new season of Elsa and Anna, and I'm like, not like we just watch it's
so
I don't know.
I watched it because I don't even know why I watched it, but it wasn't because of my child. But I do know that she had Frozen like power properties, right, where she could freeze shit.
Oh, are you asking me about what the premise is?
Well, did she have powers?
So I don't know if you would consider them powers, but I guess, and shit, don't quote me, but I think her parents died and I think she got cursed in a sense and she had to break the curse with love. But she didn't know that obviously.
Disney, no, they corny as hell.
Yes, but the curse was when she gets upset, she like reacts and everything freezes. And then her sister Anna tries to save her. So because she doesn't want to hurt Anna, Elsa like leaves the village, even though she's the queen. And Anna comes to a little frozen place and she's like, stay away from me and blah, 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 blah. But then the curse is broken with love, with true love and sisterhood love and blah, blah.
Yeah, I ain't watch it. But when I was over your house, it was hilarious that everybody had seen Moana. Everybody was like, Moana this, Moana that. And I was sitting there quietly because your girl had seen Moana. So, I'm sitting there. I got 17 is my youngest child. So, I had seen Moana.
Moana's like a cultural brown girl we have to watch.
Bruh, I will watch it. But the way that I was shamed for I don't appreciate that shit. And one of the shamers was Mr. Freddie. How the fuck you seen Moana and you don't got no fucking kids? Now, that's what I want to say, Fred. Okay. Love you, Fred.
He ain't got kids. That don't mean he don't anyway. I'm just kidding. He's a principal. He's around the children all the time.
That's not what the fuck you meant.
I love him.
For even bringing you up.
Anyway.
We love you.
We love you.
I will watch Moana. And
Moana's actually good in the sense that, you know what's funny? That you just like, oh, here they are with the bullshit superpowers or whatever.
No, I love superpowers. That's why
I do too, but Moana's plot is actually like, of course, because they got to make the brown girl work harder, more Grammy. She got to be grimier. The struggle got to be real. You know what I'm saying? It got to be like tribal spiritual entry, which it is. And then she got to go through hell and high water and like leave her family. You know, I just fucking had an aha moment that because she's a brown girl, she got her struggle is fucking real. Moana's shit is real.
I'm about to watch it.
She leave her grandmother died right before she leave the village and shit. She got to deal with all that emotional baggage, and she goes past the reef by herself.
And that's Disney, right? So I could go on Disney Channel and probably watch it. I'll watch it. I will watch Moana. For all the brown people, all the black people,
for the brown support, and then The Rock is Maui, who is the guy that
I got too much money. He needs to relax.
Exactly, but
let somebody else get the damn role. Goddamn,
I would let him hit. He's hot.
I mean,
I think if he ran for president right now, he would win.
Do you think he does steroids?
I don't know about that.
Because I know he's very fit and he's always worked out.
But what I was gonna say, I don't know about that end of the fitness world, but I have heard that sometimes like when the veins pop out and when the whatever, I don't know if there is a naturally human way to get that way without
to get veiny.
Yes, I don't know if just working out and how you eat does that.
Let me find out you. So, do you mind a vein?
No, not la vena específica. No, I like when that one shows up and has its own heartbeat. Boom, 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 boom.
Well, talk about steroids real quick. Did you see that Anuel picture that had him with titties?
Tetas! Yo, to me, is that steroids gone wrong? Because my thing is, he took the picture with no shirt, so he thinks he looks good.
I think he thinks he looks good, but shout out to Karol G, girl. You don't need to be sucking on them titties no more.
Hallelujah, the milk expired.
Them titties was titty in, okay?
And then the nipple is like huge and goes down. It's just not it.
Like, not it legit looks like a sheep, like a baby calf. Like, it looks like a sheep.
Yep.
Like just hanging.
But he thinks he looks good. And the funny thing is, I think the meme you sent me with the little character, who is that? What's his name? And he's like, pero. It's like the little character guy. Freddie loves him.
I don't think we get, the puppet. I don't think we get enough props as Latinos. The shit. That's why whenever I see anything Spanish that's hilarious, I promote it.
Let me tell you,
enough props.
100%. Yesterday, I posted this girl in Puerto Rico where she's like, it is just the way we express ourselves. The way she was talking about, she was like, Puerto Rico es. What she say? Puerto Rico es un Jumanji. Pero vivir en Puerto Rico es jugar Jumanji, pero Jumanji Plus. She was like, cada 2 días, no solamente no hay luz, pero no hay agua y también tiene que llegar al trabajo a tiempo. Pero qué mierda es esto? I was like, but the way she was expressing herself when the fucking video started with bitch, all the time. The power goes out in PR all the time.
So that means no flushing.
It happens all the time.
There's no flashing.
But the way she said, vivir en Puerto Rico. No cague.
Una bolsa mía. Yo la pongo
una bolsa.
Girl, you think I got ideas? There's no way I'm holding my shit. I am holding your shit in a bag like a dog.
Bitch, give me an outhouse. Give me an outhouse because it's coming out.
In a bucket and I throw that shit out.
2 peas in a bucket. Fuck it. When she said, vivir en Puerto Rico es Jumanji Plus. I said, not Jumanji Plus, bitch. Yo, but she's. You know what? I was gonna say this, and I don't consider myself a hater, but I was talking to Fred about this, and Lejuan.
See. I think he's
he came out. Exactly. He came out years ago, and when he did, I was like, "Oh my god, this kid!" I told Phil, I was like, "This kid's gonna be a star." And we tried to develop a show around him or whatever. It didn't work out. But he needs years. Like, but now, I mean, and you know what I've noticed too? If you start, and you may or may not have, and to the viewers too. If you start taking note of people who have become influencers and you start remembering how their houses looked when they started, it is in abundance of people who started in apartments. Then they moved to the little townhouse. Then they moved to the bigger house. Then they moved to the bigger house. There's this little black girl named Jade. I don't know if you follow her, but she has the military mom, and she became famous because she was doing her mom's hair at like 1.5. And she was like, yeah, girl. But like a little baby. Their house now is a mini mansion.
I'm sure. Day one,
but I say that
late one called. I mean, he bought his mama house, and
he bought his mama house.
If you're going to continue to do these skits and continue to do these things, do it to what you're living now. Like you can no longer do a skit about being poor.
He does the wigs and he does the whatever. And I mean, I think it's still funny, but the other day, I guess for his birthday, he had on these Louis Vuitton slips. Like it's just all changed. And I believe if you like it, you can afford it, get it. Like it's not about that. Mm-hmm. But it's also like, in a sense, now you've become an influencer. Now you kind of owe the audience something. So you're just like, now everything is like Ferrari, G-Wagons. So he's doing the clips in a G-Wagon that has to do with like a Toyota Corolla pulling up to the right. It's not the same.
It's not the same. Be authentic with it. Be authentic with it, because we are no longer being able to be like, oh my God, yeah, I remember when, because nobody got a fucking G-Wagon to remember they were in.
You're right, exactly. You're like,
we can't be like, oh yeah, that happened to me. No, it didn't.
Yeah, with the Louis Vuitton slippers, Louis Vuitton short set, some other brand bandana with the. I said it's just too much. It's just giving too much. That's just my opinion. But I don't know how we got there. Anywho, so his birthday is on Saturday. When this airs, she will have officially turned 5. Yes, we're so excited.
Big 5.
And in typical Sophie fashion, she has like 5 birthday parties.
She's like 10 years away from the Sweet 15. You better be ready.
But P.S. I never had a Sweet 15, Sweet 16, and I hope that. I mean, who knows if she wants one? If honestly, to me, if you're a good kid, I'd rather her be like, let's go to Paris for a weekend. Let's like travel. Let's like go to Italy for a week. Put a down payment on my car. I don't know.
I'm gonna have to do this to you right now.
I don't know. You knowing Sophie, you're like, first of all, she went to my little cousin's Sweet 15 last week. And she came home and talked about the princess's birthday for like
That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. She's going to want one. She's going to be the princess. And then you're going to have to find a role for your mom.
Girl. The fairy godmother? The fairy godmother?
There's going to be enough for everybody to shine. It'll be that type of thing, girl. I was so tired of my daughters. I was like, just let it be over.
Let it be done.
Everybody have a piece of cake.
Good time though. And what I loved about the Anice's Sweet 15, was it a Sweet 15 or 16?
16, and it was thrown together because she was supposed to have a car. Initially, she wanted a car. She was like, no, don't spend any money on a party.
Right.
I just want a car. And then last minute, 3 months out, she's like, I think I want a party. So then there was nowhere to have it. Thank goodness we found that place where we had it at that she liked, because every other place was either like it was. But anyways, I digress. But thank goodness we were able to at least have something for her, because
I loved when all the boys danced with her. I love your family. So yeah, Sophie turns 5 on Saturday. Sophie, you guys may not know, it took me 2.5 years to get pregnant. I used to pray over my empty womb, and literally she's exactly what I prayed for. And then she came 2 weeks after her due date, which is typical Sophie fashion too.
I want to come.
Basically steering her own ship. My birth story is so New York. So New York. Phil tells it better, but so I'm excited about that. So we did a little birthday party in her classroom today, and then we will celebrate in LA with her dad. And I have a few surprises. She's gonna get a visit from Elsa, very LA.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's 5 years old. Damn, 5
years old. Do you want one? A 5-year-old?
Hell no. I had a 5-year-old 4 times.
I know. I'm saying, don't you miss it?
No. No. Yeah. I like for people to be, able to, do their own shit. Like, and I didn't mind it when I had to do it. Don't get me wrong. And if I had to do it now, like if I had to step in for you, if I had to step in for any, like I will do it. It's not about, but if it's like, here, and would you want a 5-year-old? I'll be like, I can't be the holding pattern for the child until you find his forever home.
You're like,
because I could see the empty nest. It's like right down.
Oh my God, I see it for you. And honestly, I'm like, damn. But I guess it's different because you have 4 kids. Because I'm like, damn, empty nest. But then I'm like, I only have 1. So when she's gone, it's like,
I think I'm gonna have a rotating situation over here. I don't think I'm ever gonna be empty.
It's never gonna be empty.
It's all good.
It's never gonna be empty. But you just said something and it made me think of something. Empty nesters, kids, having one. Anyway, whatever. How was your last night?
Last night I went to go see Matt Rife. Shout out to Rachel, my girl. So she gets points on her card, and she was able to get a couple tickets.
Was this at Foxwoods?
No, it was at Mohegan Sun.
Oh,
so
okay.
we were on the phone talking about work because we work together as well. And we were talking about comedy shows. We stumbled upon Matt Rife. I was telling her about Matt Rife, and she was like, wait a minute, I think I got something in my email. And she looked it up. So she had a couple tickets to Matt Rife. We were able to sit on the floor. It was really good. Like, I enjoyed myself more than I thought I would. I want to say I laughed like crazy. They had this guy named Alex, and the Alex guy was white, the opener, who was like the host of the show, and then and they're all best friends. So then he had his other boy who's black. He was funny as fuck too. He was able to do a lot of the black jokes, and people were like uncomfortable, but really like laughing, but they didn't know whether or not they could. Shit. Because it was a lot of white people.
Me, I mean, maybe it's a little insensitive, but I just feel like I shouldn't say that because I don't fully agree. But I feel like comedy, to a degree, comedy is the space where you should feel free to make jokes. You know, like Eddie Murphy days, like what is the Richard Pryor days? It's like a joke is a joke, but
Chris Rock.
You know, it's like
who cares who gets hurt, whatever.
Yeah, like, but the funny thing is that culture, like in our closed culture, we're laughing because that shit is true. Like, if somebody made a joke about the little TV on top of the big TV, yeah, or if someone made a joke about the plastic on the sofas, yeah, like,
what about the hanger as the antenna? Like,
bitch, those are all
mayonnaise sandwiches with nothing in them.
Schmaloney
Just mayonnaise and bread.
Bitch.
Yo, some people went as far as fucking putting butter and then sugar and cinnamon.
And what are you making? Like a cinnamon roll
so
at that point?
So then you
like a modern day churro? Like a vintage churro?
So then you flatten it like a grilled cheese and it's like a dessert. Then you put syrup
on
like
a churro.
Yeah, and I was like, damn. If I use the cinnamon in my
I'm thankful I didn't have to be. I was gonna say that the only piece in there is the cinnamon. Like, cinnamon is definitely one of those things que no me toquen eso. You know what I'm saying? Porque eso cuando tenemos enough to make French toast or algo fancy, you know? Algo fancy.
Yeah, so we didn't do that in my house, but when we went other places, I was like, y'all making pancakes? They was flattening the bread. I was like, oh, damn, motherfuckers is creative out this motherfucker. When you pour ingenuity come through.
Yo, let's not even talk about ingenuity. That's why we have so many basketball players, football players, and the sports that don't cost money. Because when you come, now obviously that's a large statement, but when you come from a how can I say this properly? Like when you come from urban areas, you get when you fucking poor, or even when you're not poor. Like, just you have this like even when you're not, because in this country, being a single mom with 2 or 3 kids, you're not considered poor. Like, if you have a job at retail, you're not considered poor. Like, the poverty line is crazy in this country, which is a disgrace. to be declared poor, but
I don't think that we should go by that. I think just like
100%.
All these people that identify as whatever, if you identify as poor, you poor.
You poor. Exactly. So that's to say that the milk crate served as the basketball hoop.
Exactly. It was a basketball hoop, as a fucking hamper, as a fucking garbage
can,
you
sit on as a seat.
That
it's getting a circle into a square. So your talent is
crazy. Like the shit. Oh my God.
I'm telling you.
You brought me back. Like you drug me back.
I drug you back to Sands, bitch.
You brought me back to the bonus. Jesus. And just sharing shit and oh my God. But
I do. I mean, of course, we don't wish poverty on anybody, but I do miss a time where you would drive by and the kids are all playing outside, like in the hood or in the suburbs. Like we live in the suburbs, and we met our neighbor during the snowstorm, but I was like, we never see kids outside. And the funny thing is, a week before we had that big snowstorm, Sophie was like, Mommy, we don't know any of our neighbors here. Because in LA, I mean, the houses are much closer together, but you a lot of times you share driveways. So even though you have your own driveway, your driveways are usually parallel to each other. And it's just like, it's sunny. People are outside. They're on a walk. So you get to meet your neighbor. We knew all of our neighbors. And when she said that, I was like, Sophie, when I grew up, I knew all my neighbors.
I knew all my neighbors too, but I'm not a neighborly neighbor.
Here she goes.
I don't know. I think, but it also has to do with the way that I was brought up.
There's my neighborhood bubble, and it was like
no. It was okay. So we grew up in different situations, even though we were in very similar neighborhoods. We grew up in different situations. Like I grew up in the projects, right? So we had to be very vigilant about who we trusted and who we didn't trust.
Of course.
You know what I'm saying?
Of course.
To me, like if I didn't grow up with you, like I could be your neighbor, like we'll exchange numbers, we'll say hi, we're polite, we'll chit chat or whatever. But I'm not inviting these people to my house. Like it's just not popping off. You know what I'm saying? So like to me, if I haven't grown up with you, if I don't know you like that, like that's the type of that's what I mean, like about being neighbor. But like if they need something, like we've shoveled each other's driveways, shit like that. But in terms of like, oh yeah, we're having a party. Like the guy to the left of our house is a cop, and then the other one over here is a hoarder. So it's like I'm not.
I hope you don't listen to the podcast.
And if they do, then they know I'm not fucking lying.
Now you know you're a hoarder. And if a television crew knocks on your door, you know who sent them.
You've been over my house. You know the guy next to us is a fucking hoarder. But so yeah, that's the only reason. But once you get to know me and all that stuff, and then maybe I could tap.
Yeah, so maybe I should clarify that we knew our neighbors, but we weren't friends with our neighbors. We were friendly with our neighbors. Yeah. So I different times. It's just different times.
Oh my
different
God.
times.
Well, when you were living in the inner city and in the urban areas, you had no choice. Like you said, driveway to driveway. We used to share a porch.
Bitch.
And there was
to get to the other apartment, you had to walk through.
You had to walk through the porch.
Everybody's porch.
So everybody's porches. So you had to go through the second floor, and so you knew those people, and then you had to go. So you have to know.
Isn't it the worst when people are outside on their porch and you got to walk through to get to your? You're like, ooh.
Sorry, gotta get upstairs, guys.
Or you trying?
Sorry, you guys are having a cookout. I'm sorry.
That's one thing in the city in New York. People have cookouts on the sidewalk in front of their buildings, but like full. They bring out tables. They get grills. I'll be like, where do they keep this stuff?
And then the shit is that, growing up, you don't know that it's not normal, right? So,
right.
Like, at least my dad was like, he would venture out to be like, okay, let's go to the park. We would bring a grill to the park, or like when we did the whole family outing with all the cousins and uncles and aunts, and we went to New London Beach, Ocean Beach. And we all would go, like, there was this one time, oh my God, if my cousins are listening, they're going to be like, Diana. But there was this one time when my uncle had a pickup truck, right? Because there's a whole bunch of, there's a whole bunch of us, right?
Wait, where is this going? Where is this going?
There wasn't enough cars, but there was like, but wait, there was a whole bunch of us, and not just the family, but the like people in the neighborhood, like
the neighborhood, the neighbors. FYI, I want people listening, the neighbors that she wasn't friends with. Okay.
In the projects, we were friends.
I know.
Now we're not. No,
exactly.
So, it's different. So everybody wanted to go to the beach, yo. And then a lot of the times when the people knew that we were going to the beach, it was their first time going to the beach ever. You know what I'm saying? They would be like, "Y'all going to the beach? Where?" And then we would have to go ask their parents and make sure it was okay. And a lot of kids weren't able to go because their parents were scared of water. I'm one of those parents. But I was like,
yeah,
water's got a pickup truck. And he was so, oh my God, he was like a genius in my head. So he went and got some like 4x4s and put them in the corners of the pickup truck.
So you had seats?
And no. And then he put a tarp around the pickup truck and then filled up the back of the pickup truck with a whole bunch of.
So no one would see ya. Oh my God. If one of you started playing back there, y'all all falling out like dominoes.
Oh, on the highway?
The tarp flew. Because in my head I said a tarp though. The beach, you got to get on the highway. That shit's not going to last.
Oh my God. No, but it was cool because on the way back, we had to hold the tarp. Yo, but that was the best time, yo. It's memories like that. It's memories. On the way back,
we had to hold.
You don't even understand. It's memories like that. Like you're fucking living through it. You don't think it's wrong. We're all going to the beach together. Imagine having like 10 or 15 kids in the back of a pickup truck.
Bitch.
So yeah, but it was so much fun. Like I could show you pictures.
The crazy thing is, it's like, hey, you're going over to ask your friend's mom. We're going to the beach, blah blah blah. So she's not. All right, cool. The beach, the water. Be careful. Da da da. Add to that. Oh, and we're getting in the back of a truck where there's a tarp that we're probably gonna have to hold. It's going to be going down the highway, probably just like 70 miles an hour. But no big deal.
Everybody got home safe though.
Well, that's what matters. That's so crazy. But I don't know, but we're about to transition because you said it was a lot of times that people had gone to the beach for the first time, which reminded me of the conversation we just had at Quinnipiac. Shout out to Alyssa and Sophie and the whole team over
Hennessy,
at
all the girls.
Hennessy,
oh my God.
all the girls at the Olas, the Latino org on campus at Quinnipiac, who had us. We had such a good time. But
so much fun.
When I asked the question about were any of them first generation to go to college, and they all raised their hand, me and Dinah were like,
it's 2024.
Holy what?
It's 2024, so it's crazy because Rocio then said, yo, it was a lot of first generation when I went to school, and that was how many years ago? You know what I'm saying?
20-something years.
Yeah, so
but it's funny because we were first generation when I went to school, and I went to college in 98, but it was a much smaller group of, you know what I'm saying? So here it was mostly Latino kids. But when I went to school, I have one Latino friend, but everyone else I gravitated to were the black kids because it was like, well, if you ain't white, you black. Let's roll. How we rolling? Like we automatically get each other. So when I looked around, I genuinely did not think any of them would raise their hand. I was more like, are any of you guys first generation? And when they all raised their hands, I said, damn, you think you make some sort of progress. And are we making progress? Like It's a real slow progress.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I loved that we touched a lot of their lives. At first, I was like, "Are you guys alive?" Like, shout out to y'all, but y'all was real silent.
Shout out to y'all, but y'all man quiet. Because I remember me in college, I would have been like,
as a mouse. I was like, "Are you guys okay? Like, are we boring you? Like, what's going on?" But I guess they might have been listening to the signs that they had. Like, we were recording the podcast, so they were trying to be respectful that we were recording the podcast. So, you know, I kept asking the girls after that. I was like, did we bore y'all? Because I think we're pretty funny. She was like, no, you guys are awesome. We just didn't want to interrupt. I was like, oh, okay. Yeah. So, no, but it was great. It was very insightful for me because, and like I was telling them, just make sure that you keep going because a lot of them are, well, besides Alyssa's roommate, because she's going to be a physician assistant. And I have to get her that information, by the way. Shit. I gotta write that down. But they, for the most part, a lot of them, they didn't know what they were going to do. Like even the girl that was getting her master's, she was like, well, I just get accepted to do my master's, but I don't know what I'm going to do. And I'm like, yeah, but it's okay. Because you're filling up your pot with like the shit you need in order to get what you want in the long run. So, and then they thought that it was so cool that it was okay not to know what the fuck you're going to do. Like not to have a whole fucking plan at 18, 19 years old. I'm about to go rule the world at 18, 19. You don't know what the fuck you about to do. Like, at all. These motherfuckers now in their 40s don't know what the fuck they're going to do. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's okay. It's okay. Motherfuckers are still learning. I'm still learning. Like crazy. Sometimes I learn shit. I'm like, damn, I could have did that like that a long time ago.
It's crazy.
But
it's crazy. I feel like I had such a good time. And the girl who came up to me at the end and she started crying, and I was like, not that I was just, again, like you, because of the way the setup, it was like we were in the light and they were in the dark. And I was like, I can't see anyone's face. And we feed off people's responses so much when we're doing it live. But it was nice to get that feedback at the end. They want us to come back in the fall. They loved our energy. They loved what we were saying. And then the girl came up to me and she was like, I'm sorry, I don't mean to cry. And I was like, are you okay? And she's like, no, I just feel so inspired because people don't have these conversations with us. Like, I feel like people aren't telling us the truth. A little context of what we shared was we talked a lot about imposter syndrome. We talked about our different college experiences. And then, you know, we ended with building a business. And I know for me personally, having various revenue streams is something super important. But I was very transparent. So was Diana, in the sense of like, we are clearly Latinos. Like we're, and I say this with Sophie all the time. Obviously she's young, but I want to instill in her, in a sense, to give her courage and strength. But to be honest, and I feel like I was never told this, you know, like you're sold this thing of like, you can dream and like anything is possible. Yeah. But if you're smarter, faster, stronger, show up earlier, like it's unfortunately the way of the world when you are a person of color. It's just, and that's just been my experience. And people's experience could be different. It happens to be Diana's experience. So since we speak from our experiences, it was like, I love that you guys are in college. I love that you guys are, you know, studying. You don't know exactly what you want to do. But I also want y'all to know that when y'all get out there, shit is going to be harder. Like your homie who happens to be your roommate, he may not want to be in the music business, but his daddy's best friend might be the CEO at Sony and he about to get an internship. And that's just how it happens. Like they are generations ahead of us already.
I've
seen it so many times.
Not only that, but like we are always saying, and we try to harp on, and even and you don't have to be a person in college, right? It could be you, the listener that's watching us, that's listening to us. You have to go into spaces like you belong in the space. 100%. The moment that you act or you even flinch that you don't belong, they will pick up on it. And by they, I mean anybody that's in the room.
Sniff like a dog.
I'm not talking about race. I'm not talking about none of that. It could be the same race in the room. Everybody's going for the same role. You got to go in there like you know your shit. You got to go in there armored. I always say armored. Armored with everything that you know. And sometimes you got to face some shit. Sometimes you got to face some shit. And let me tell you, right, because I've done this shit. I faked before. It doesn't matter.
I fake it all the time.
Because any role that you're going to go into or any situation or anything, you're going to be able to learn whatever the fuck you're going to do. Nothing is going to be the same anywhere you go. Every time it's going to be different. All the time. There's always going to be somebody that's going to have to train you. There's going to be different type of software. There's going to be different programs. There's going to be different people. So fuck the fucking shit and say the little white lie. Fuck it. Yep, I've done that before. And right before you fucking get the job, because you're about to get the job, just say it in your head, right? Get a training for it. Or take notes while you're there with the training. The training is going to happen. You're not going to go in there and have them expect you to do budget when every budget is different in every job. You know what I'm saying? So that's what we were trying to get across to the students. And even to you, our listeners. Like, it doesn't matter. Just walk up in the space. Whatever space you're in. You do lashes. You do nails. You do stripper pole. You do whatever the fuck. You go in there. I belong here. Because, the confidence radiates. And people, woo. But also, when you radiate that confidence, you're always going to have haters. So you got to get ready for that, too. That's all. Yep. You got to get ready for that, too.
Yeah, and I agree with you 100% because, unfortunately, too, and I'll speak to Latinos specifically in my experience, I really have not dealt with many Latinos in my career or my specific business. But it's what you said. You have to show up as your best self at every time, because usually not only are you competing with another person, whether they're white or black, but the other ethnic person in the room is like, no, fuck this. They're not picking two of us.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And it's just the way of the land. It's not like you casting for a movie and it could be a whole cast of 15 white people and all is well and seen as normal. If you notice, if it's not a black movie, there is no room for 2 Indians, 2 black, 2 Asian. You get what I'm saying? They ain't picking both of us. So it's like respectful game on. And it's the way I try to raise my daughter, to have a sense of entitlement, but a respectful sense of entitlement. So she walks into rooms like she belongs because she does. It's this thing of, and I also think with technology nowadays, bitch, you could be on because of course there's always lingo, SEO, ROI, and things that you're like, fuck. Look that shit up on the spot. Write it down. Fake your way through it. Because it's like Diana said, and I've experienced it. And even if you're an attorney, even if you're a doctor, even if you're a surgeon, right? Obviously, the foundations of what you do are the foundations of what you do. But when it comes to business and capitalism, when you go to a new hospital, they do things their way. When you go to a new law firm, when you become a public defense attorney, whatever it is that you decide to do as a lawyer, your foundation and laws and everything you studied, but then you have to learn the who's, the rip of the ways, how things work, what forms have to be submitted for this, things that you may not have had to do in your job. So I always call that an onboarding, a 3 to 6 month onboarding where you're green. No matter if you've done this 100 times, even when you come in to be a new CEO at a company, if you notice when you get a new CEO, their first 3 to 6 months onboarding, what are they doing? Having meetings with teams. They're meeting with all senior leadership. And what is a real leader doing? He's testing. He's seeing who he has on the team. He's seeing who's strong. She's seeing who's strong. Who knows what? Who exactly? Who's doing the work? Who I need to replace? Who I need to call from my old place to be like, all right, I'm ready to bring y'all in. Because honestly, what do good leaders, CEOs do? They travel with their pack. And that's how they make sure they shine. You know what I mean? So,
and that's why when shit happens, people can't take it personal.
Oh, we discussed that with them too. And I did see their eyes go like this when me and Diana were like, Diana was bringing up a good point. She was like, you could be going up for a position and they could already have someone internally that they know they're going to go with. But because of politics and litigious reasons, they got to interview 5-6 people and they got to put you through the ringer and they going to interview you for 6-7 times, knowing that unless you are spectacular or you bring some sort of skill set that they weren't even expecting to the table, they may consider you, knowing that they already have the person they want to have in-house. And then what do? yeah, that imposter syndrome sets in, and you're like, fuck, I fucked up. I didn't say this when I could have said this, and da 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 da. And now you torture yourself, and really, it had nothing to do with you.
Yo, and that shit happened to me. That's the reason why I brought it up. Because real quick, like the person that was hiring for the position told me, Diana, apply to this job. So I was like,
it's yours.
There we go. I'm about to get it. So I prepared.
I remember that.
Oh my God. I went to Rocio. I went to my best friend Nat. I went to a few people like, yo, help me with this. Questions, this and that. Yo, I thought I knocked it out the park. Perfect.
Because you did knock it out the park.
Yeah, I beat myself up when they told me that I didn't get it. And then when they told me the reason, I was like, okay, that's bullshit. But okay. All right. Beat myself up. Fast forward 6 months later, and they tell me the reason why I didn't get the job was because they were swapping somebody from another department so that the person's daughter could get a job in the fucking company. I was like, so why even fucking interview me? And then if you told me beforehand and then you found out after the fact, then pull me to the side and be like, yo, D, because you know me like that. Diana, let's wait for something else to open up because this is going to be a little funky. And I would have so much more respect.
Yeah.
But now I know that the system is flawed. So whenever anybody says, oh, there's this great, I'm like, nah, I'm good. I'm a go-chair.
I just had a call, and you know her, but I won't say her name because then it's a big public company. But my girlfriend is a senior person at a huge public company, and we do a catch up, not only as like friends, but we talk business, we dream build together, blah blah blah. And we just had our every 2 week last week, and when I got on the call, you could tell she was like just like feeling it in her tone. And I was like, yo, what's going on? And she was like, yo, I just got off the most difficult call. And I was like, what happened? She's like, basically, right, her team has overperformed so exceptionally that they have asked her to essentially lie, but of course the narrative wasn't lie, in her reporting, because some people need to start to get demoted because it doesn't look good from a company perspective that everyone has excelled so much. So basically it makes the department look unrelatable. So she's like, wait a minute. So we have been required to overtrain and teach our teams to excel. And now you want me to
dumb it down,
punish them for being so exceptional,
for being great.
And their response was basically, essentially.
That's bullshit.
And I was like, that can't be real. She's a bullshit. Bullshit.
My girlfriend said a bullshit.
No, but because there's a little girl on social media who says that.
That's where she got it from.
Yes, she goes,
at the gym. A bullshit.
Yes. But anywho, it's on and on and on. We had a great time talking to the younger generation. We hope that they left with some nuggets. And shout out to Alyssa as always. The girl is so refined, so on a path to be extremely successful. Mm-hmm. And it's just such a blessing. I always speak life into her and her
into us.
I can't wait to see her.
Cool.
Yeah, she keeps us connected.
She keeps us cool. No, but did I tell you that I won $800 last night?
No, bitch.
I didn't finish my fucking Matt Rife story.
Because I probably cut your ass off. Sorry, guys. I had a concussion 13 years ago, and if I don't say something, and I don't, but I got better. I have my pen and my paper.
You didn't cut me off. No, we veered off. You didn't cut me off. We actually went off.
So wait, because you don't even gamble.
Okay, so we go to the casino. Shout out Rachel again. Thank you so much. We had a great time. I told her, anytime you got any tickets, look at
bitch. Anytime.
Anytime. No, she was talking about doing Philadelphia in June too. The Roots and the Roots.
Oh,
Lil Wayne. Lil Wayne and
what do they call it? Yes. What is it called? It's a big weekend.
Something picnic. I don't know. But she was talking about that the first week in June, so I'll probably do that with her.
Sure.
And you're more than welcome. So
it's the Jay-Z thing. Rock Nation shit.
Is it?
I believe.
I don't know. Anyway. I just saw it on Instagram today.
We about to veer off again.
So you know what's crazy? No, you know what's crazy? We talked about it last night, and then it was all over my feed this morning. That's how I saw it, because I didn't look for it. You know them phones be listening, even though my shit was down because of the AT&T whatever. But wait, we're gonna.
You're veering off again.
I know, it's my fault. So okay, real quick. So so we got to the casino, and she's like, "Oh, let's play a little bit." So I took out some money, and we went to her machine. She likes to play the Buffalo something, right? So then something kept telling me, like Wheel of Fortune, because that's the game usually that I play. Is the Wheel of Fortune slots with quarters, or I play Spanish 21 or regular blackjack, right? So I was like, I'm not going to go on a table because they're probably going to be $25 because Matt Rife was there, and that's the comedian we were going to go see. Long story short, I go to the Buffalo, nothing was popping off. Then I went to the Wheel of Fortune game, and I was like, this one's calling me. I sit down. As soon as I put $20 in, that just started going. It was going crazy, right? So then, so I put $40 in initially, and then I got to $400. So I'm looking at the machine because it's a dollar slot. So I was looking at the machine. I said, $400? I should cash out. I should cash out because $400, like I could get my brakes.
I mean, new brakes, bitch.
I get my brakes, whatever. So then I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna try one more time. Just looking for the elusive jackpot, right? So then I went all the way down to $96 from the 400. So I was like, fuck. Right? So Rachel came up and she was like, Diana, what happened? Because she saw that I had like I had 5 something, but I was playing one more 100. So then she was like, what happened? I was like, I don't know. I was like, okay, I'm just going to hit it one time. And whatever it is, I'm just going to cash out. I'd rather take out the $86 than, So I hit it one time. That shit said, and I said, oh, shit. Yo, when I fucking tell you that shit hit the jackpot and then it clicked over one time. Like it stopped on the jackpot and then it clicked over. And the jackpot was $495,000. Yo, me, Rachel, and all the people that was around me was like, yo! And then we said, what the fuck? Because it stopped on the jackpot, then it went, doop. I was like...
That shit is a setup.
Yo, for like
that shit is a setup.
I thought I was about to pay all my bills off.
Yo, but that's why you didn't win, because you had already planned that shit.
I was already planning it. Whatever. So then, so it gave me 5 times or two spins with 5 times, whatever it hit on. So then I didn't even know because I'm really bad at math. So then it hit on some numbers, and then this just said 801. I was like, cash out, bitch. I'm out.
Bye.
I took $801.
Bye. Yo, I love that.
About to get these passports. No, but then we went in to the concert, and it was predominantly
passport.
White concert. It was predominantly white. The audience was predominantly, and I'm fine. I don't have an issue with it. But the people around me, when they would do ethnic jokes or whatever, they were like really hesitant. I almost felt like saying just. That's why we veered off. We started talking about people being too sentimental about being in comedy shows. And
right.
And there was a time when he was like, "You guys thought I was gonna say the N-word, right?" So then everybody was like, and I was like, "It's okay, y'all." It's a comedy show. He didn't say the word.
He didn't say the word.
No, but he was very funny, and his friends were very funny. And if you haven't seen him and you can check him out, you should, because he is hilarious.
I've never heard of him.
He is, like, if you go on TikTok or even if you go on Instagram stories and hit Matt Rife, he's a very attractive white comedian. He said he's 29 years old. He was just able to buy his mother. He said that he bought his mother a house. His mother sent him a Zillow link to see the house that she wanted him to get. And he was like, how good do you think I'm doing? You're sending me a $3.5 million house. Like, we're not doing that shit. He said, you want to go from a 2-bedroom apartment to a fucking $3.5 million house? He was like, and if you met my mom, she is the epitome of white trash. Like, heat comes off of her. So
he comes off of her.
He comes off of her. I was like, this dude. He was like, this bitch think I'm gonna buy her a fucking. Y'all, the way he was talking about it, and the way he was talking about how he likes to fuck old white women or just old women in general. He was like, yo, I'll be riding around, go to senior homes, late night, like
no way,
like around 8:30, to see if there's any confused women outside just roaming around, like looking around to see.
Confused.
And then people were like, some people were like, oh, whatever. He was like, oh, so old ladies can't get no dick? Old ladies can't get no dick. He's just like, he don't care. Like, he doesn't care. He was like, I'm going to get canceled. He said he got canceled because he said he called the transgender's vagina magina or something like that. But he's just really funny. He's out of control. He's really funny. So yeah, they didn't make us lock up our phones, but they did have people walking around. And if you had
because you couldn't record anything,
they would take you out. Yeah, but it was good. He's very funny. So I would say Matt Rife. He's on his way. That was his first arena. He was like, I know that this is a small arena, but it's still a fucking arena. So this is my first arena, and he sold it out. So it was good.
Oh, I love that.
Good, yeah. So
anyway, what are we talking about today? 50 minutes in, I'm gonna have to edit that shit.
Oh no, we could just do like a 20-minute. What are we gonna talk about? People like this chat, girl.
They love the chat. And by the way, on today's episode of
De Eso No Se Habla,
Mommy Never Told Me, De Eso No Se Habla,
which translate into we don't talk
everything.
About them things. We don't talk about them
everything.
Things. That's what that means. De Eso No Se Habla. We don't talk about them things.
Diana, everything.
Right,
we don't talk about anything.
I was translating.
Oh, sorry.
I was translating.
FYI, a lot of times I don't hear D. It's like a delay. So I know people are like, damn, she always, I'm like, whatever. I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck.
We're gonna get together soon.
I don't give a fuck.
Once we get our mic situation,
I'm sorry, so rewind. De eso no se habla.
De eso no se habla, which means we don't talk about that. When you're in your family, mother, parent, conversation, we don't talk about that. We don't talk about that. And what don't we talk about? Let's see. What you wanna? One thing for me was anxiety. We ain't talk about that.
Oh my God, that's such a good one. So I had here mental health.
Oh, look at that.
I mean, I have the list goes on and on, but I was like, you know what? When we build our topics for the season, we veer every now and then depending on like current events or what we're feeling. But this was a good one. I felt like this was a good one to tap into because, we've interviewed Evelyn, we've interviewed Michael. So we've done a little bit of the interviewing. We did the joys of sex, which has been really well responded to. But I wanted to come back to the roots as to why we started this podcast, which was literally like, damn, people are really not having these conversations. Whether it's mental health, whether it's, even stupid shit like talking about sex, talking about money, talking about saving money, talking about life insurance. You know what's crazy with my mom that I was like, I brought up life insurance to her, and my mom is like someone that I would think is progressive and like open-minded, and she was like, ay, yo no tengo eso, es una pérdida de dinero, ahí yo tengo en los papeles lo que tú vas a necesitar, ahí todo es para ustedes. I'm like, listen, okay.
Sorry, Ilya.
I said, first of all, you running through your retirement right now. So it's not even about the money, kid. It's about the fact that funerals are expensive. Like, I know people don't want to have these morbid conversations, but especially, God forbid, and protect our family, our loved ones, our parents, whatever. But it's like, if you don't plan for these things, nobody got $30,000
laying around
to just throw because someone died. And guess what? And I dealt with this with my nanny in New York. Her husband had dementia, Miss Diane, who we love so much, and he passed away. And thank God She was with me for 2.5 years before he passed away. And thank God I convinced her to get life insurance a month after she started working with me, because I said, Miss Diane, he's really showing signs of dementia. And this was when she told me after a month of working with me, she told me that. She was like, Charles did the weirdest thing today. He took the wrong way to get back to the Bronx. And I was like, okay. And then that same week, she had taken an Uber. And when me and Phil went downstairs to go to the grocery store, we saw Charles waiting in the car. And we were like, hey, Miss Diane already left. He's like, oh, okay. And then Matthew, his nephew who was in the car with him, was like, I told you, Grandpa, she left. She told him we were getting her an Uber that day, and he had forgotten.
Oh,
so this was all in a week. So I very gently told her, I was like, you guys should get, they went through the process, and he had dementia, and unfortunately he passed very quickly, I think within 19 months. But with most life insurances, they got to make it through a year. You have to get a year, and then your policies become active. So thank God that she did, because bruh, do you know what it is? $25,000. And I say that to say the funeral home don't care.
No. They will keep your body
in a fridge. The cemetery don't care.
They will keep your body in a fridge until you come up with the money.
And they will keep it in a fridge in the morgue. And if the funeral home keeps it, the bill is coming per day. So, I mean, not to be morbid, but I had that conversation with my mom. But you tapped upon something that I think is a big, big, big thing when you said anxiety, which is total mental health that we don't talk about.
It totally is. It runs in my family for sure. And for me, growing up, I thought something was wrong with me. And it was just a fear or feeling fear, and then where I'm from, and then for people to see my fear as a weakness was big for me. I was like, they can't see that I'm fear. So having the fear of things happening when nothing's really happening or going on, but then having to mask that. So having all of that happening at the same time, I was exhausted. I was.
So are you saying that you were dealing with that alone in your head? So you're dealing with the anxiety, and then on top of the anxiety, you're looking at yourself from the outside and dealing with that judgment and anxiety, and so it's like a fucking triple whammy.
And then sometimes it became so uncontrollable, and that even though there was no presence of danger, I was always thinking that something was going to happen. Like there was this big situation that happened, and I know that God must have taken me out of the situation, in me having to go get my stroller for my child in West Hartford. And in that act, one of my good friends got shot in the head right in the middle of the project. So when I was making my way back, someone called and said, hey, yo, so-and-so just got shot. Come back. And I was like, I'm on my way. But in my head, I was like, shit. Not even realizing what the fuck was going on. But I was like, it was almost like God took me out of that, because that timing, I was already going through so much shit in my head because there was so much stuff going on. And so then when that happened, my cousin was trying to go after the guy that did it. And that put me in a tizzy, I want to say, for about 4 months, maybe 3, because they were looking for this guy. But then I heard that guy was looking for my cousin. So then I was bugging out, because I was like, shit, something's going to happen to my cousin now. And I would legit sit on my sofa in Manchester and look out the window for hours. I remember that shit. And it wasn't until Nat was like, D, you got to go see somebody, because we were living together at the time. And I went to go see a therapist, and I was able to talk through it. And they gave me some temporary medication. And then I spoke to my cousin, and I told him how worried I was, and this and this and that. So then they finally caught the guy, and I was able to get out of that. But that was a dark place I was in for 6-7 months, yo. That shit. And then you don't realize the trauma that you're going through, right? Because you think it's normal. You're in traumatic situations. Like, I've seen people get stabbed. I've seen people get shot. I've seen people, but it was so crazy that I just kept saying, no, I need to go get the stroller. And I really didn't need to go get the stroller. Like, you know what I'm saying? It was just so crazy. And I sit here and I think about it now, because I think that would have actually, like, if I would have saw that, like, that was a really good friend of mine and our family. I don't know what I would, like, I don't know. like to this day, my brother was standing right next to him, and like, everybody has a different way of telling the story. But I know that if I would have been there, I don't think I would have been right now. You know what I'm saying? So it's things like that like is so traumatic. And I don't mean to go like so deep, and I'm really trying to stop myself from being emotional. But things like that when I go through anxiety now, I try to be like, okay, if you got out of that, good. You know what I'm saying? Because that was a hard transition. He was loved, and for the respect of his family and just my family, I want to say his name, but he was loved. He was looked up to. He was not a violent, like, just, he was, if he was violent, it's because people were violent toward him. That's usually how it is growing up. You know, you have to defend yourself. You know what I'm saying? But that misperception of like fear, and like after that happened, it was just like every time I heard a pop, or every time I heard a screech, or every time, like for months, I was bugging. I was like, yo. And I was like kind of glad that we lived out in Manchester, because it took me away from having to be in the inner city where you hear that type of shit all the time, like sirens and, you know, all that shit. But yeah. Wow, I went.
I love that. No, I don't love that. That's what happened to you. I'm so sorry that that's what happened to you. But it's why we have these conversations, because it's like, I feel strongly, and we could probably just focus on mental health for this episode about this, so no se habla, which would be great, because, because think about you, like, not only are you a woman, you're a mother, blah, blah, blah. So then as women, we're already programmed differently. You know what I'm saying? We're like hypersensitive, and yet we still have all these responsibilities. And you're dealing with this anxiety. So you're constantly living in fear. And for me, anxiety, my body shows it in my stomach. And I get like diarrhea, I get nauseous, I can't eat, you know, and a lot of either people overeat or they get headaches or whatever. There's always these responses with your body to something that's happening. So then you're dealing with all of this, and then there's no one that you feel like can understand or you can have a conversation with, because what you're dealing with is the people who are surrounding you are so used to this. But can you imagine if we opened ourselves to having conversation? So many other people around you are probably like, oh my God, I've been feeling this too. Like I feel this like an elephant on my chest, or like I can't breathe, or let's not even open the PTSD after that.
Oh gosh. Yes, the PTSD, the shame, you know, there's a lot that happens when, because I don't know if people realize, because after having all those feelings and all that happening, then you're exhausted. Your body is because your heart rate is going. You don't know, like when I was younger, I went to the emergency room so many times. Like, I was just like, you know what? No, I have to make sure I took notes. I started taking notes, because there was this doctor, and I forgot his name, in the emergency room, that told me, whenever you are feeling this, make note of what you are feeling. And if it's feeling the same, then it's anxiety. If it feels different, if you start feeling it in your arm, if you start feeling it, just focus on your notes. And if you start feeling something different, then come back and we'll have another chat.
Because he's basically telling you that anxiety is the same signs of a heart attack.
Right. The same. And then not only is anxiety
that's how heavy your mind makes your body respond. That you're not having a heart attack in most cases, thank God. But your body feels like you're having a fucking heart attack. Like
But
you cannot breathe.
But then the older you get, you can continue to have this anxiety that will turn into that.
Into a heart attack, a stroke.
A stroke, exactly.
It will
so you have
show
to make
itself
sure.
in diabetes. It will show itself in high blood pressure. Like it's there's no escaping how strong the mind can control the body.
Absolutely. And it's okay. Because we have always said this, we are big, like, go see a therapist, talk to somebody, because it is normal to have an imbalance in your brain, especially if you've had children. Hello. Ooh. Hallelujah. Your shit just is shifting. And then you start getting older. Your shit is shifting again. Okay? And this is just things happening with your body. Right? So we always talk about how we're not doctors, we're not therapists and all that stuff, right? But we are very in tune with our own bodies, right? And we have spoken to therapists. We do read books. We watch programs. So you're in tune with your own body, right? And everything that's happening in your body. So that's why we're like, we're not even including the fuckery. Okay, and that's what I'm going to call it. The fuckery of a man fucking with your head. You know what I'm saying? So let's dealing with just this, right? And it's so funny because last night, and this is something and my husband, he gets now. He gets it now. But earlier on, I would say, fuck, I'm feeling anxious. Just give me a minute. And he would tell me, just relax. If I could just relax, I would. What the fuck? You think I want to feel like the way that I am feeling? Like, no, I don't. If I could just go into, and that was another thing, like going into a pill bottle was something I did not want to do, because if there were 10 side effects, I got 9. So I didn't want to do that. So it took a lot in between those years. I want to say like 6 to 8 years for me to really tap in and listen to my brain and listen to my body and listen. So now I know when I'm having an anxiety attack and I'm just chilling, I'll go to a gummy or whatever the hell it is where I'm just relaxing, doing some breathing exercises. I'll go work it out or whatever before I would fucking go into a spiral and freak the fuck out. And everything would hypersensitive, like, oh shit, oh my God, I'm having a heart attack. Oh my God, the left side of my face is feeling numb. Am I having a stroke? Oh my God, my foot is a little drag on my foot. Like, and then WebMD, stay the fuck away from the internet when you're feeling some shit or when you're feeling anxious. Stay the fuck, because you're dying, you're having cancer. There's a whole bunch of shit. You're just gonna have cancer. You're just gonna have cancer and everything that you look up. But it's okay to have anxiety. It's okay to feel like you're off. It's okay to feel like you're stuck. What is not okay if you don't find help. You have to find help. We've heard too many stories. Rocio and I were talking about this one man that we just happened to like our podcast. You know, that que falleció. And I'm not going to even say whatever because a lot of people know him. But you have to make sure that you talk to somebody. And if you see somebody that's having a tough time, talk to them, get them help. That's it. Like, I don't know. Like, I would hope that if someone saw me, like, getting away from people or not being myself, I would hope that be like, people, like, you good, D? You good? Like, because if I'm not good, I'm going to be like, no, I'm not good. It's a matter of fact.
So imagine the people who can't respond and be like, I'm not good. You know,
right.
Because when you just told that story, which again, thank you for sharing, it makes me think about the men in our community, like Black and brown men who have experienced that over and over. I have a friend.
And over
and over I have a friend who was like, you know, he's like, you know, I just don't deal with death. I've seen it so much that I guess I just don't deal with it. It's like something that and his rhetoric was like, I'm just not good at it. And I'm like,
no one's supposed to be good at it.
You're not good at responding to death. No one's supposed to be, but you have to deal with what it's done to you emotionally and your psyche. And then the problem with our men, our boys, is that we have put so much pressure on them to not cry, to be men, to be men, to be men. And it's like this weird juxtaposition of like, well, they have to be men when it comes to the emotional and ignoring things. But yet we're not satisfied with the type of men they're being to show up in relationships with women. Mm-hmm. But I feel like it's so connected because what's happened is that when you have this rhetoric of like, you have to be a man, don't show emotion, then how do you expect a man to show emotion and sensitivity in an intimate situation with a woman that he can potentially love?
There you go.
He loves her, but that's it. That's how far I go. That's the limits to my love, because I physically, verbally, even if it's sitting here, I don't know how to do it. I don't know how, even if I can't explain it, I don't know how to express it. You know, so it's imagine your brother who saw this happen right next to him.
Yep.
You know, who potentially hasn't gone to therapy about that and so many other things he experienced. And, you know, then how do you show up as a father? How do you show up as a husband in a healthy way?
There's so many things. When my brother told me about, he was somewhere and he was at a bar and people came in and fucking held up the bar, had guns drawn and all this shit. They didn't know that they were gonna die or live. You know what I'm saying? And for years, my brother wouldn't go out, and I knew exactly that was the. You know what I'm saying? Like, I wouldn't want to go out either. You know what I'm saying? So that, and the shit, and it's not like, it's just not normal. Like the shit that people go through, and then the people, I don't know, that it's just so much shit. Like just growing up that I saw, that I thought was normal, that is not, that I was a part of. I was a part of a lot of shit that I shouldn't have done. You know what I'm saying? And that shit.
You know, Dee, when you said that about, you kept saying, I gotta get the stroller. The first thing I thought about is, God forbid you would have been in the crossfire.
Right. Because I was right there.
Let's not, okay, they called you, you know, this happened, come back. But at the same time, it's like, you were right there. It happened. I get chills thinking about it, because when we were growing up and when Diana was growing up, it was a big, totally those Latin Kings era. And there were so many innocent people who had nothing to do with the gangs that were caught in crossfire. You remember those stories. It's like, and then that's it. And then what happened?
But even a lot of the guys that died and they were a part of the gangs, they were good guys. You know what I'm saying?
Oh my God. Yo, I just had this conversation with my mother. They had a service at the church for ex-confinados, which are men who were imprisoned. And I said it. I said this to my mom in like a 2-minute statement. I said, let me explain what my view is on that, right? Because my mom was so, which she should be. She was so like, she was in such adoration and respect for their stories and how they've gotten there and where they came from and blah, blah, blah. And I said, I love that. And I love that there's a space in a world where you can have second and third chances. I said, but can you imagine, right? You 15, 16, you don't know what else to do but join a gang. You don't know what else to do but sell drugs. So not only at 15, 16, you don't even know how to fucking make decisions to go left and right. But then you make these man decisions, right? Sometimes based off of pressure. Then you get locked up for shit like, let's just say weed that's now legal, which we also know thousands of our brown boys are in prison for a joint, for an ounce, for shit that's now legal, taxed, and tons of people make money off.
That's why I like Meek Mill and all them people doing all that shit, man.
They're reform laws. So then it's like, okay, of course now you're 36, 37 and you're like, fuck, what did I do? What did I do? Because it's just something that comes with maturity in or out of prison, that it's so unfair when you are judged for decisions or things you decide to do, obviously within limitation at 16, 17. Of course, at 37, 38, you're like, because that comes with age, with age comes wisdom. And it's just the way it is.
Yeah, but a lot of the time it wasn't like they wanted to.
This is what I'm saying.
Some people didn't have a choice. You know what I'm saying?
So can you imagine? You live in the projects.
Some people were picked up just for being outside. You're not going to do it?
This is what I'm saying.
Motherfuckers people got hemmed up on a regular basis. It was not a surprise when I went down the stairs and hooked the left to go across the street to People's Market. A lot of people gonna know what I'm talking about.
Oh shit, I know. I
remember that place. You cross the street and there's 10 motherfuckers hemmed up on the fucking wall. Just because they're hanging out where they live. You know what I'm saying? So my mom, my aunts will go over there and okay. They don't got nothing. Okay, let them go. Because God forbid.
This is before you could record anything. This is before you could record anything.
My mother and them, they was the recorders. They was like, we see what you're doing. They don't have nothing. We see what you do. They would be up close and personal. They did not give a fuck. But you had to. Because God forbid, they planted some shit on our boys.
All
you know
the time.
So it's like, you can't even hang out. Like, I live right there on the second floor. I'm outside. Leave me the fuck alone. Like, why are you coming in here? No one called you. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of the times, like, you know, another thing is that
that's trauma. So that's trauma, absolutely. Right? So that's 15, 16. That's the first time. Then the second time. Then the third time. So then that's trauma. That's trauma that you're holding. It's taking space in here.
Not only that, then you're not trusting the police.
That's what I'm saying. And then you're expected to become something. You're expected to have these superpowers. So you come out and what you see is poverty or like the same monotony. Or if it's not you, it's your friend. So the first, the second, the third time, you're expected to become something. And then you're also expected not to talk about it. You're also not expected not to talk about how it felt when that happened to you. And then you become numb to it. And then you get older. And then you have to show up in society. And then you're expected to become a father and show up in a relationship in a healthy way. It's like, what? And it goes back to de eso no se habla. We don't talk about mental health. We don't talk about anxiety. We don't talk about therapy.
That's why it's important that if you do get into a relationship with somebody and they open up and let you know about shit that's gone on in their lives and they're opening up and telling you that, you almost, and this is not making excuses for nobody. Trust me, I am not making excuses for nobody. But you almost have to be like, fuck. No wonder he doesn't do A, B, and C. No wonder. Okay, well, he opened up about this, then maybe he'll talk to somebody else. Let's introduce the idea. Maybe I could fool him into coming with me to talk about my shit, to support me, and then maybe he'll get comfortable in talking to somebody else. You know what I'm saying? Because like you were saying earlier, right? The feeling, right? The feeling, and then they chop it off, right? So yeah, if something becomes to feel, they don't know what the fuck it is, whether it's gonna be good or bad. They're gonna chop it off. They get scared of feeling. Period. Whether it's good,
but that's the thing. But the thing is, it's not chopped off. It's ignored. You know what I'm saying?
Well, that's what I'm saying. So it's like this.
It festers and festers and festers and festers, and then what does it do? It's going to rear its ugly head in another way,
right?
In another space,
right?
In another unhealthy, you know. Do you and you? This is a very open-ended question, but it's like, why do you think there is such a stigma around therapy, around having conversation, like around, because we are a very chatty people. We are a very social people. We love to gather. We love to have food. We love to have music. But what do you think it is that causes it to be almost so superficial? And I say that respectfully, but it's almost like everything's great, everything's fine, everything's fun. You know, not to say that every gathering has to be a therapy session, but it's like, before we got on this call, it's like, there's always the uncle who's the molester, and yet nobody want to talk about it. Ninja keeps getting invited to every gathering.
Yeah. Listen, I am so grateful that in all the trauma that we saw and were a part of, that I know of, we didn't have a molester in our situation. I think for sure
that's a blessing.
They would have cut his fucking dick off.
I was also going to say
for sure.
There's so much masculine energy in your family.
So much, even with the women.
Yeah, that there wouldn't be space for one because I think that even if the thoughts had come to his head, I think he'd be like, I love my life too much.
They would have been
yes, exactly. But I just am always like, why are people having
I think because it has to do with, you know, seeing other families and like keeping up with the Joneses type. De eso no se habla, right? Pero que dirá la gente too. Like, what will people say if they knew? What would people say if they knew that we were struggling? What would people say if they knew that you had anxiety? They're gonna think you're fucking crazy. Chill the fuck out, relax, take a breather. You know what I'm saying? Like, what would people say? Like back in the day,
more important is the thought that it's a reflection of you,
right? And back in the day, let's not forget. Because even when we went to Puerto Rico this last time, I asked this guy, what is that across the way from El Morro? And he said, oh, that's where they sent the crazy people back in the day. When you didn't want to deal with somebody that was having a mental break, if they were having depression, if they were having too much of anxiety or whatever it was, they sent them there. I was like, oh, so this been happening, right? So people don't want to talk about it, number one. Number two, if they do talk about it, it's like, ooh, stigma, ooh, taboo, ooh, shame on the family, shame on the. We are poor as fuck, living in the hood with 17 package stores in the same fucking neighborhood. What you talking about? There's crack pipes and shit on the floor. There's needles and shit in the playground. What are we really talking about here? You know what I'm saying? There's a booster coming to my house every fucking day. We used to buy the shit. Ain't even gone front. He knew our sizes. We didn't know. Shanika,
educate me.
The best.
What's a booster?
A booster is a person that goes.
What do they sell?
Mall. They stole everything.
Oh, stolen goods are off the truck and they're getting it to you.
And then getting it to us. But he knew our size. She, because she
specific. She said, girl, I saw this and thought of you.
She used to tuck a dick. And I used to be like, listen.
Before
you're gonna have to have a surgery because your shit too big to be tucking.
Too big. Why is always the too big that want to tuck? Come on.
Her name was Shanika, and she used to talk like this.
Where's Shanika now?
She passed away from AIDS. But she used to have a cigarette. She was like,
rest in peace.
Aquí yo tengo 3 par de tenis y tengo 2 jeans y 2 coats. Y lo busqué en los side de ustedes. So in translation, she said, I got sneakers, I got coats, and I got them in your size. All the clothes are in your size. Because she used to be like, what size are you? She used to write down the sizes. And then she used to be like,
she went on a mission.
Yeah, and she would come to my mother's house first. And if we didn't buy the stuff, then she would go to other places. But we bought the stuff. We had the latest fashions.
From Shanika Fashion.
Shanika. Yo, she was the best. Oh my God. Like, it's just a shit like that. There was another guy that he was on his way, and I forgot his name. Damn it. He was on his way to MIT. I think I told you the story. He was on his way to MIT on a scholarship and on celebration smoked some fucked up shit. And now if you go to the North End, you'll see him. Sometimes he's barefoot. Sometimes he's just walking around.
What's his? Oh, we're not gonna say his name.
I forgot his name. I would have said his name because a lot of people know him.
Wow! So he was some a genius. Shit.
He had some lace shit and never was the same. This motherfucker would have his back up against the wall and be like, "They looking for me! They looking for me!" And at first, people would laugh at him. But back then, and I won't say at first, I used to laugh too because I thought he was fucking. I thought he was bugging. I thought he was being silly, or whatever. But then I would sit there in the pews, like they had these pews in the middle of the project. We used to sit there and chit chat, whatever. And I used to be like, "Yo, something's really wrong with this dude. Like, he don't got no shoes, nothing on. Like, he's running in the middle of traffic. Like, nobody's helping him. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
so but what was his family structure like when he was going to go to MIT?
I don't know his family structure. I know that he lived down the street from Sands, and I know that the story was, and I don't know if it was a myth. I don't know if it was a, like a ghetto.
Oh, that he was on his way to go to MIT, that he was a genius.
Yep. and you can tell,
and then he did some lace shit.
You can tell in the way that he speaks. When he speaks,
that was very
you can
intelligent.
tell he's intelligent. Yeah, you can tell, and then the way that he, like, if it was social media, he would probably be like fucking crazy, like from like being young. If social media back then, because he would tell stories. Like, you know, and the airplane came through the projects and then it parked right. Like, he would like say these things. We would be like, what the fuck? You know what I'm saying? But they used to cut his hair. People took care of him though, but it was just sad. You know what I'm saying? Like shit like that. And just to see people period on drugs on a regular basis. Imagine like seeing motherfuckers just walking around looking for pennies and shit on the floor to get drugs. And
that's real. That's trauma.
People, and then some of those people are family members for some of the people that live in the project.
This is what I'm saying.
That's so crazy.
So we went. So Sophie grew up mostly in LA. So all she knows is LA. So she's seen encampments. Like that's to her. I say it's normal, right? But you don't think about those traumas, or depending on your response to your child, you know, or addressing it instead of being like, oh, el loco del vecindario or whatever. Because every now and then she'll be like, or, you know, sometimes mommy, people don't have anything and they need to live in tents. Or like the guy in New York who was sleeping in the snow on the street, because when we were in the city once, there was this homeless guy and it was snowing and he was under, like a rafter. But she said, what is he doing? Because she was so used to seeing people in tents, which again, people in tents are homeless. But to her, she thought tents were their homes. And I had explained to her, I said, you know what? Not everyone has a home, Sophie. No, I had said, not everyone has a house, but home is what you make it. And sometimes people have to make their homes in the street or in tents. You know, not everyone has enough money, or not everyone has access to things where they can have a house. So when she saw the man with no tent, she was like, what's he doing? And I explained to her, I was like, you know how in LA they have tents? Here, sometimes people don't even have tents. I said, you know, and then it went into the whole be grateful. It went into the whole be empathetic to other people. That is what he calls his home right now. You need to be respectful of his space and blah, blah, blah. You know, that's his setup. But if you're not having these conversations, or you don't feel compelled to respond, you know, sometimes kids ask too many questions and you just ignore it. You know, like when you get older, you have this PTSD, this traumatized. Oh, like when I saw that guy on the street, or when that guy in our neighborhood used to talk to himself all the time. And then God forbid, as you get older, you start hearing voices, or you start neglecting the voices because you're like, oh, I don't want to be like the guy.
And that's going to be shame. Yep. Then the shame is going to show up.
It is all, and it goes back to like, de eso no se habla. It's like, maybe Diane and I are an anomaly and like over communicators, but it's like, why not have these conversations?
You almost got to put the shame aside. Like, fuck
that's what I'm saying.
Whoever
it's like,
the fuck is whoever
who?
You're worried about fucking shaming you, fuck them. Whatever is going on in your home, in your brain, in your body, if it's a loved one, and you are clearly seeing that they're struggling, whether it's with anxiety, depression, how dare you not get them help? How fucking dare you? That's it. How dare you? Because if you're seeing it, and you're seeing it. Okay, wait. How much longer do you need to keep seeing it? Is my point. You know what I'm saying? Like, do something. If you're able to do something, fuck the shamers. Because the shamers, they're not there to pay your bills. They're not there. And I hate the shamers that are only there for good times. I hate the shamers that are only there for celebrations. I hate the shamers. Fuck those people. Fuck those people. You have nothing to fucking be explaining to people outside of your fucking four walls. Point blank fucking period. What's going on? Nothing. Well, how's everything? Fine. That's it. If you want to share. But if you're willing to share with 17 motherfuckers in the street that's going to tell your business to everybody, why not share that one person that's fucking bound by law to not tell anybody your shit?
My point. Exactly my point. So it's like, granted, that's another thing that we do. Todo lo que pasa en la casa se queda aquí. Like, whatever happens in this house is in this house, and
to a certain extent,
share, right? To a certain extent, but we don't share. We don't whatever. So my and I have a friend who's dealing with this right now. Their daughter's having really, a tough time. In my opinion, she may be bipolar. She definitely has depression issues, whatever. And it's this constant back and forth of what to do. And I'm always like, listen, you're not meant to be equipped with knowing what to do. But there are services. Mm-hmm. There are people who are equipped. Mm-hmm. But what I keep seeing is that there is this hesitation, because to admit or to fully do something is to say, I did a bad job. This is a reflection of me, which goes back to like, ¿qué dirá la gente? You know what I'm saying?
When it's like,
yeah. And I've been very clear. I said, please note that it could be in the next few years that she is out here talking to herself like the neighborhood local. If you don't do anything about it, or make excuses, or cover it, or try to replace, or try to say, it's because of this, it's because of the boy, or it's because of whatever. No. When someone is crying out for help, when someone is not only crying out for help, but especially with your kids or close family, people's character changes. Mm-hmm. And when there's a shift where you're like, wait a minute.
Yep.
But it's this stigma behind the admission. It's this constant like, but she wasn't like that. She wasn't like that.
And how
she
dare,
wasn't
and,
like
and
that.
How, and it's almost like, and some people take it the other route. Like, how dare you have a problem? We're supposed to be perfect. You know what I'm saying? That don't happen in this house. Right? No, the approach should be different. The approach should be like, I see that there's a problem. Even though you don't see it, let's get you help. That's it. That's it. God forbid some crazy shit happened. Then what? You're going to fucking wallow in tears. I could have helped. I could have helped. I could have helped. And I didn't. How many more signs do you need?
Mm-hmm.
You don't need no more signs. You don't need a fucking flag. Somebody running through your house with a red flag. You don't need fires to be set. You don't need somebody saying, hey, do you need a sign from God? No, the signs are there already. Okay, look it up. You can look up depression. It'll give you a whole bunch of signs. You can look up anxiety. It'll give you a whole bunch of explanation. And anxiety shows up at different, like Rocio said, it shows up in her stomach. Sometimes it shows up in my stomach. But generally, it shows up in my chest and it shows up in my head. Like I will sometimes, and this happened to me when I was in Puerto Rico with us, a word just kept repeating in my head for like 5 hours. And I was like, what the fuck? Because I was stressing about something that was happening in the United States. So then that triggered that. And then I was like, okay, zoom in. You're in Puerto Rico. This is a beautiful place. You're with beautiful people. You're having a beautiful time. And that's the way that I was able to back up out of that shit. But imagine that's me, a person that most of you all know. And the words that I get are usually, you're so strong, Diana, you're so like, you're such a light, you're so funny, but guess what? Your girl is also human. Your girl also has anxiety. Your girl also has issues with fucking a whole bunch of shit. IBS. Your girl also, you know what I'm saying? So everybody got their shit. And I'm always talking about how people have like, the concierge or the baggage handler, people at the fucking hotel where they have those carts where you put the baggage to bring them upstairs. I got like 20 of them shits of trauma and baggage. And you know what I'm saying? So that's how I see people that aren't carrying those carts behind them. I don't want to fuck with them. I don't like perfect people. I relate more to
people. But perfect people don't exist. It's a facade.
Exactly.
It's a facade.
But
and it's actually really sad.
I relate with people that have the cart. Like, how many carts you got? I got 20. How many you got?
Bitch.
You got 25? Okay, let's talk.
And 19 of them are parked. And I decided to drive this one for this season and really fucking navigate my way through this bitch. Take a left, take a right, And then in 2 months, call me because I'm probably switching between the other two cars because my life has been juggled like that. I remember when Phil first started getting sick probably 10, 11 years ago, he had his first heart attack. And my anxiety. It's nothing like seeing someone you love almost die. So for a year and more, I don't think I slept, because when he came home after his heart surgery, I would just stare at him to make sure he was breathing. So I held this in. I never told anybody. Never. I didn't even tell him. But I'm creating this narrative. I'm like, or if I called and he didn't answer, oh my God, I was imagining him dropped it on the floor. He had a heart. I would be at work and I couldn't breathe. And then it wasn't until I got pregnant. So my anxiety, was pretty consistent, and I lived in seasons of anxiety, because then what happened after his first heart attack is his sickle flared up, and that's when Phil became someone who was like every 3 months was sick. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So he wasn't showing up as his best self. But it wasn't until it got to the point, and you know how much I travel, that I couldn't get on airplanes. You know why? I realized I felt like if we get on a plane together and something happens, we have nowhere to go. And it was to the point where right before I'd be fine, we get to the airport. So we continued to travel. Thank God that I still was like, I never let it stop me. But right when they called that we were boarding, and of course, Phil likes to be one of the first people on, Mr. VIP.
Bitch, why do you think I need to be at the fucking airport 4 hours before the fucking flight, 2 or 3 hours?
Yeah.
That's the fucking reason.
Mr. VIP, y me da gana de cagar. As soon as they start saying, all right, we're boarding the flight, we're boarding Mosaic, or we're boarding, whatever, or, because of my arm, when we found out if you had a disability and you needed extra time, he would make me wear short sleeves so that it was never quite, we always work in the system.
I love Phil.
Because I do technically need extra time. I technically need extra time to get my luggage above my seat. You know what I'm saying? But really, my husband just wants to make sure he don't got nobody putting luggage above his seat. But so I was dealing with that.
Again, and I love Phil.
No, he's tops. It's crazy. So then it wasn't surprisingly until I got pregnant that my anxiety totally shifted. It literally just almost like, and knock on wood, thank you.
Well, that's what happens, because that's what happened. That's what happened with my sister-in-law. She has MS, and when she got pregnant, the symptoms, like, it's so crazy that when you're in the state of pregnancy, God puts like all the focus of the body on this baby.
I think I just kept saying yes. Was like, oh, I can't be anxious. I'm going to transfer her to the bed. I don't want her to be anxious. I don't want her to feel anything. So I literally would just like do my breathing. It's funny because you know all the tools. It's like I have one of my girlfriends in LA is really going through a hard season, and she was like, we're so used to being successful in business that in business there's a template. You know what I'm saying? You meet someone, you make a relationship, you set up a deal, you see the plan. It has notes, it has royalties, it has money, you do an exchange, you shake hands, you start paying. There's not a template of how to do a deal, but you kind of know what the structure is. And now that she's dealing with this, and she's a Black woman, of course, where conversations are had. Her husband's never been to therapy. They're trying to go to therapy. It's not successful, but when I was in LA last time, I say this to say that we went hiking, and she looks at me and she's like, Rocio, you've done such a good job navigating your season. I need to know what it is that you're doing. And I literally looked at her and I was like, babe, there's no specific answer besides for what's worked for me. You have to find what's going to work for you. And I said, and even what's worked for me worked today, and that shit may not work tomorrow.
And it might not work for her.
100%. So it's like she's so desperate to be like, okay, what are those tools? I just want this feeling to go away. And I said to her, for me, not only is it therapy, but it's really fucking being honest with yourself and letting go of control. So I circle back, and I think what happened when I got pregnant, besides not wanting to transfer things to the baby, I'll never forget Phil. And it's crazy because I have pictures of when I was pregnant and he was in the hospital. And one day when he came back home, I prayed over his door and I released him. I literally released him to the Lord. I was like crying in tears, and I just knew that I had to show up as my best self for now someone else. I couldn't continue to show up as my best self for Phil and worry and feel like I can control his health. And obviously, and Diana knows this, I falter, and it's not always a linear thing for me, but I'm so proud of myself for showing myself grace where I no longer allow myself to feel so deteriorated and like to the point where I wasn't eating. My stomach was a mess because I just repeat to myself, I can't control him. I can't control his health. I can't control what happens. I can't control anything. The only thing I can control is myself and how I respond to every single situation, and then motherhood adds a whole nother level to it. But when you have to show up for someone who cannot physically, mentally, emotionally do anything for themselves, I refuse to not show up as my best self. So when it comes to anxiety, that shit is real. I remember I felt like I was having a heart attack to the point where I started to think my arms were numbing. Mm-hmm. You get what I'm saying?
Because the symptoms. Yep.
Because it's like, are your arms numbing? Well, I think so. Well, it feels like it. Oh shit, now I can't feel it. I'm tingly. I'm like, it's like, and then if you can't be honest with yourself, honest with your partner, honest with a therapist, honest with whatever, more importantly, honest with yourself, you start to hold this harbor, and then it shows in your body in other ways.
Oh yeah.
Which is what we discussed at the beginning of the conversation.
You don't sleep.
Bitch, for one. And by the way, when you don't get sleep,
anything falters. Damn it. Anything. I'm over here trying to gather my thoughts, right? So I'm looking, I try to type things in the phone or write or whatever. And it's just crazy how everything that should be talked about is not talked about. Mm-hmm. And then the shit that shouldn't be talked about gets talked about. You know what I'm saying? Like, a motherfucker will sit around and talk about somebody's dick, somebody's pussy, who should not be fucking who should be going out with
how much money this one make,
how much money they got, how much money they spent, how much money they spent. You know what I'm saying? But nobody's saying, oh, yo, I have anxiety. Oh my God, I have anxiety too. How do you take care of your anxiety? Oh, well, I do this for my anxiety. Mm-hmm. How does that work for you? Oh, maybe I'll try that. Those are the conversations that we're talking about. There was a few months back that we sat at my table here in my dining room.
Oh, what such a nice organic, that shit just, and to the point where I was like, wow, that felt really good. Like,
so
it wasn't planned. We were. It wasn't like we got together to have a fucking powwow and burn incense and sage and shit.
No,
it was like we it just happened with natural and some deep shit. People really felt comfortable sharing some really deep stuff,
and it was cool. And I really love that group of friends. Every time we get together, we can talk about whatever, and because we've grown up with each other, so. We know each other. We know that we could be there for each other. We know, and some of the stuff that was shared that night, I was just like, oh shit. But
I was going to say, and not to cut you off, thank you to that crew, which we won't mention just for intimacy and privacy, but thank you for letting me in because I'm was really, really new. I've known Diana for eons, but like for the things that were shared and things that, again, I don't know if me and Diana are anomalies, but I'm an oversharer. Like to me, when I say I really don't give a fuck what people think or say, I really don't. I just don't. I don't know, and not to be cocky, if it's because my successes really supersede anything that I could have imagined in my life if I even never do anything again, or whether it's being born with a disability. Like, I was on my walk the other day and I don't know why I was like, well, I do know why, because I'm working on something else, but I was like, can you imagine if I would have let that 15-year-old kid who was my camp counselor really make me believe that I'd never swim?
Yep.
And I was like,
and that's you having a disability, which I will fucking harp to the fucking wheels fall off, that I've never even ever.
Everyone says that. Everyone's like, I've never thought about it.
Never even
but on paper and
never,
from a legal perspective, and
I've never, like, even when you're gonna pick some shit up, if you're gonna move some shit, like, it almost feels to me like she will kick my ass if I'll fucking ask her if she needs help. For real. It's on some shit like that. Like,
like my trainer
help,
today,
he will ask me for help.
I did sleds today, and my trainer, I was like, yo, V, why are we starting at the weight that I usually end at? He's like, because you be fronting and you strong. And I was like, damn. I was like, yeah. God, no. And mind you, I'm pushing it like this, so I'm like, I got to readjust. But I've at the sidebar, I've just learned to like readjust. But I say that to say I'm an oversharer. And that day I shared, but it was so beautiful to feel like they were comfortable sharing really intimate things around me, which I was like, I love that. I love, me and Dinah, we love just having conversation, like healthy conversation. And it's never feels like judgment. It never feels like, it just never does. It's like,
and it's never like, if you are ever around us and you want to, and you know us like that, I'm not trying to open the door to people oversharing, but and you know us like that, and it'll stay because like, if anybody shares anything with us, if it's a funny story or if it's something crazy, I'll always say, hey, can I use that? And I will never say your name. Can I just use that on a podcast, right?
Yeah.
But when it comes to like conversations like that, like we had that night where everybody was sharing, and I was just like, wow, and not only was I happy that it was happening.
And the funny thing is, you were very quiet that night.
Yeah,
and I think you were more in observation. Mm-hmm. You were very more like, oh, I like what's happening. And Diana's a big energy person. Mm-hmm. And I think she was feeling like a good energy flow. Yeah. So she was very, you were kind of like, oh, okay. Yeah. I love that this is like taking place in my space.
Yeah. I was just very proud too that they were able to share, because sometimes, you have friends that, you can tell that they hold stuff close to the chest. And, but one of them, and she's going to be like, I know you was talking about me, bitch. But we call her the gentle thug. The gentle thug.
I love her.
Yeah.
I love her.
Because
I love her.
Don't get it twisted. She'll fuck your ass up. But, but yeah. But I love that happened. And, when we get together, we try to do that a lot.
If you're hanging out with your friends and I know a lot of people had Galentine's Day and blah blah.
You're not having conversations like that, then.
That's what I'm saying. If one of your friends is struggling with a kid who is suicidal or a kid who is having some real depression issues and they feel like they can't have these conversations, and again, it's not for everybody because not everyone is well intentioned, but I think it's healthy for you to find a tribe, a person, a friend that you can have these conversations with, and that even though we're not professionals in any space, in legal matters and health matters, at least a space where someone could be like, yo, you should really like do something about that. Or you should really, have you tried this? And now, like, and I'll say it 100 times, with the internet, bro, you can find resources for how many times do we sit on this podcast while we're recording and find resources?
Oh, gosh.
In the moment.
Oh, gosh. And then there's so many different artists and so many different people that are in the limelight that are doing stuff, that are harping on what mental... I mean, there's even sports people, athletes that are taking time off because they're having mental or anxiety issues or depression issues, or just the pressures of fucking media and the pressure of being number one, and the tennis, I forgot her name, and even the gymnast, Simone Biles, she took some time off.
Naomi Osaka.
Yeah, she took some time off and was not ashamed to say why she took time off. That's what I'm saying. Like, it's okay. Like, if somebody judges you that's in your circle, if you telling them, yo, I had to take a couple steps back, or I had to stop, drinking a little bit or smoking a little bit because I was feeling A, B, and C. And if somebody in your circle is shaming you about that, then fuck them. They shouldn't be in your circle. Because I'm sorry, you're perfect. I'm sorry. Fuck them. They don't need to be in your circle. If you don't feel comfortable talking to your friends about the way that you're feeling, those are not your friends.
Especially at this, and even I wouldn't even say at this age, because we shared with Alyssa and that crew, part of my college experience is that I realized that you need to find your tribe. Like, you need to find your crew. And that 18, 19, 20, 22, some of my strongest friendships, even though unfortunately Amber passed away, but some of my strongest friendships came in that season, which is no coincidence, because it's kind of like when you start your real journey into maturation, where you're like,
everybody's on the same struggle, on the same plane.
Yeah. And then think about it like this. At this age, now we're starting to deal with people who have kids and parents passing away and like real life shit, where it's like, if you don't have that tribe or village, and I say tribe and it could be 1-2 people, it's not about having 15 people, but if you don't have that in place, like, you're setting yourself up to go through shit by yourself. Like, bro, we're not superhumans. No man is an island.
And test your friendships. Why not? Test your friendships. You know what I'm saying? Like,
that's a hard one.
And it is a hard one, because sometimes when you do test your friendships and you don't get the response that you think or you should get from people, it's gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt. Tell them some bullshit. Tell them some bullshit and see if they go repeat it. Because if they go repeat it, that's not a friend. You know what I'm saying? And and it's hard, because sometimes you're gonna have, especially when you're younger, when you're in your 30s or whatever, early 30s and shit. You smoking, you're hanging out, you're doing all this shit, and everything is all surface. You know what I'm saying? Like, everything is all surface. If y'all start going deeper in earlier in the age, then you'll start to filter out all the bullshit, and it's just easier to live life.
Isn't it funny how the other day I called you and literally, I don't know, it was literally within 33 seconds. I said, yo, because this life shit is just hard. And you were like, this shit is fucking hard. And we just like went in on, that was the opening to like, yeah, just navigating this fucking hard.
Yeah.
The fuck.
And then you add other personalities and it's just easier to just be like transparent.
Like other personalities, but then you add like personal, professional, extracurricular, like the shit Dee's dealing with at work, the shit I'm dealing with personally, like a lot of things she's put in and decisions she has to make, or things she's privy to that shit takes a toll. Or like I said about my girlfriend who's like, fuck, I gotta go back to my team. So this is like just work.
Right.
So now you taking that from work, and then you got to deal with a boyfriend who you love, but his daughter is thinking of transitioning, but now all the plans y'all had together are shifting. So now you dealing with love shit, work shit, mental health shit, my parents shit. Like it is just a big bucket of shit.
Right.
So it's like
it's all about navigating though. It's all about navigating, because apparently, and I know y'all heard this before, God's not going to give you too much that you can't handle. So
I never believed that.
But there's a lot that's been given. And I know that
that's what I'm saying.
Sometimes you just
I have a list of things that I would love to have a conversation with God about when, in the name of Jesus, I make it to heaven. Lord, please forgive me for all
the
my
navigation.
sins.
I think that the important part is the navigation. The navigation. And at that point, just sometimes, man, people be trying to take on too much at the same damn time. And this is crazy, and this is crazy sidebar. Sometimes, like, I'll run into somebody and I'll say, and it's okay if I love you, it's fine. It's okay if I love you, it's fine. I'm not complaining.
I just
want to disclaimer that. But I say, hi, how are you? And it's like,
okay. sense, D.
And it's
I respect
okay.
that because
And it's okay
it's
because
also like you run into people. How are you? Good. This shit is not good.
And it's good. It's good. I'm saying it. It's good, right? But shit, some of that shit needs to be shared with somebody that could help you.
Is a professional.
Yeah.
Is a professional.
Yeah.
100%.
Because I could give you some advice. Whether or not you're gonna take it. There's a lot of people that ask me for advice. I give it to them. They don't fucking listen. And then I'd be like, see, it worked when you did it the second time. But you should have did it the first time. But yeah, when a professional, because some stuff that gets downloaded on me, and trust me, I don't mind. I love it. Sometimes I'm like, I don't know what to say. Like I can't help because I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just like, and you don't say anything. You know, and you listen, and it's fine. You know, I don't mind listening, but it's just like, oh shit, that was heavy. My friend need help. So that's when you say, maybe you should talk to a therapist, or maybe you should go try to talk to somebody. Don't talk to just anybody, because there's a lot of people out here that's trying to just spread shit. There's people out here that are fucking gardeners, right? They just want to spread seeds and shit, but they're toxic gardeners.
Damn,
they're not
that
even
analogy.
Good. They're killing
their garden.
They're not good gardeners. They're bad gardeners. They're just going around just spreading like, girl, did you hear?
They planting weeds.
I told you that bitch was crazy. She
planting
told me,
weeds.
She told me she got that
anxiety. Analogy is nuts. That analogy,
you know what I'm saying?
Nuts.
She told me she got anxiety. Yes. I told you she was fucking crazy. I told you. No wonder that motherfucker don't want to stay with her ass. She's fucking crazy. How crazy are you to be going around telling people that about somebody's mental health? That's fucking crazy. That's messed up. That she told you in confidence something about her, and you're going around to who is the fucked up one? You know what I'm saying? Like, so that's why I'm saying, like, right. You have to be who your friends are. Yeah, so test it out. Just tell them some bullshit like, yo, this dude where he slipped his finger up my butt. Say something like that. See if she spread it around. I had to get nasty real quick.
I know you did. On that note, de eso no se habla colon mental health, which I love. We're not tapping into that because you know we could go in for hours on that. Okay. But I love that we had this conversation. I think that it's so necessary and essential, especially in a time where, and I think it's going to become more prevalent, unfortunately. We're dealing with younger and younger depression, younger and younger anxiety, kids. And I won't say it's simply just because of social media, but I think that if we can do anything as a culture to start breaking generational chains as the digital space and AI space and all this technology space continues to grow, because it's not going to stop. I think our responsibility is in the home to just really, if you don't even know how to open conversations, like just start by sitting in the same space, you know, because there's so many younger and younger people struggling with these serious issues. And it's like, how are you at 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 supposed to navigate
even
what your mind is going through? Oh, 100, younger, 13, way younger.
Through 30, through 40, through 50. Like, you know what I'm saying? Everybody needs it. Everybody needs an adjustment. Everybody needs help. Everybody needs love. And sometimes love and hugs is not enough.
And it's never too late to have a day one.
Absolutely not.
It's never too late to have a day one.
Absolutely not. And guess what? You go get help. That medication's not helping you out. Okay, let's find another medication. Try something else. Don't give up on you. Don't give up on you. It's always okay if somebody else gives up on you, whatever. You don't give up on you. Okay? And if it's you that has somebody that you're seeing, a child or whatever, don't give up on them, because they don't know what's going on with them. So you got to help them. All right, y'all. I don't want to get emotional about that.
I know.
Help people.
I know.
Help people.
Help people. On that note, this was a very, very unexpected turn, but I love it. I love that we focused on mental health.
Yeah,
I love that we focused on mental health. There's purpose and reason in everything, and we hope you guys got something out of this episode. We always get something out of sharing with each other. Shit is real. Yeah. There's a lot of cultural chains we need to break.
And it's okay. You just got to make a shift. Make a shift. If you're having some anxiety issues or whatever, stop doing the same shit you've been doing. Implement some exercise. Implement some different food. Implement some just different shit.
Journal. Read.
Journal. There's a whole bunch
start
of
thinking
shit.
about
we got a whole
what you're watching.
Yeah, we got a whole episode.
Stop thinking about what you're ingesting. Stop scrolling on that social media. Stop that comparison. Stop that why not me and them. You know, it's a lot. We are living in a time and space that is going at 7,000 miles an hour.
Yep.
And if you let it control you, it will make you spiral out of control.
So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I enjoyed talking about it. Please, if you could get a nugget or two out of it, get help for yourself. That's it.
We love y'all.
Bye.
Bye.
Gracias for listening to Cositas Mommy Never Told Me. We hope you loved this episode. Make sure you subscribe, follow, and share Cositas Mommy Never Told Me on all your social channels. Todas las redes sociales. And don't forget, if you want in on the real tea and see all of our reactions to the craziness, watch this episode on YouTube. ¡Qué bochinche!